time to round up one of our big stories from the week. Nevada rancher Cliven Bundy goes from the offense against the White House to defense against the rest of the nation, all because of his latest comments saying African Americans might be better off as slaves. Bundy made the statement in a videotaped interview with the New York Times. Conservative leaders in Texas and across the country who previously embraced Bundy's fight against the Bureau of Land Management are now distancing themselves from him.
And I've often wondered, are they better off as slaves, picking cotton, having a family life and doing things, or are they better off under government subsidy?
Well, Bundy has since defended his comments, saying he's not racist and he was, quote, just wondering if African Americans were better off during the days of slavery. Bundy has also since apologized and asked for forgiveness, but he's not taking back what he said about the federal government having too much power. A number of his supporters are standing by his side, saying the media is steering attention away from the real issue, raising cattle on federal land. So this is our topic this half hour, and we want to hear from you on our Fox 26 Facebook page, or you can always send me a tweet at Sally Mack, Fox 26. Joining us is our legal analyst, Chris Tritico, our news analyst, Mustafa Tamiz, and public policy analyst, Jackie Bally. All right, so what's the real issue here, guys?
Well, there's a lot of issues here. First, that sound you heard was not a stampede of cattle. That was the stampede of Republicans running away from Cliven Bundy after he made that statement. And I've got to snicker at a guy who says, I'm not racist. I was just wondering if their blacks are better off as slaves. I'm sorry, that's the silliest thing I've ever heard. You know what he did was he started a national debate about a topic that probably should be debated, at least. I don't know if policy will change, but should be debated. And Jackie Bally, he all by himself killed that debate.
Yeah, that's very pathetic and sad. His comments were deplorable, it was ridiculous, it was stupid. And what he's done with his comments, he's taken away from the real topic, as you just said. We need to look at how the overreach of the government, how they handled it very poorly, and the position that he was in with the federal government. But instead of looking at that issue, which we were maybe a week ago, way before he made those comments, now we're focused on his idiotic statements.
You know, Mustafa, what was the government overreach here? He didn't pay his land grazing fees, which had been in place since the 30s in this country. He hasn't paid in over 20 years, and the government came in and said, we're going to take your cattle.
Right. So Mr. Bundy was and is a thief and a bigot. So let's be clear about that. It's not that he just said some silly remarks. This is what he believes, and a lot of the people that are standing around him with holsters and guns next to him probably believe the exact same thing. And we should acknowledge that they weren't just trivial remarks. He was bigoted, and that's what he is, and he's a thief because he's taking tax dollars away from the rest of us, and he should be arrested and he should be in jail.
Now let's talk about the land use fees,
Sure.
the grazing fees.
Sure.
This has been in place. It started in the 30s. There's, as I pointed out off the air, 5 laws that require this, that all are dealing with the environment and how the government handles government lands.
Right.
Recognizing that the government owns this land, why shouldn't he be paying grazing fees?
I don't think anyone has said he should not be. I thought the way that the government handled the situation was very poorly done. Drawing guns on a man just because he disobeyed the law. No one is denying the fact that his comments were racist, they were stupid, everyone agrees with that. No one is even saying that he shouldn't pay the fees. What we are saying is that the way the government handled it was very poorly done, and they shouldn't have had this exaggerated way to respond to the fact that he has not done that.
Okay, I want you to respond to, hang on, I want you to respond to that, but I got to go to Sally first.
All right,
we'll be right back.
Our viewers are expounding on what Jackie is saying. Becky says, I support Mr. Bundy 100%. I'm originally from Nevada, and all they want his land for is to dump waste, put up wind fans, or just take it because they can. Cliff says his comments are ignorant. He's a fool. That said, the main point and the fight should not be surrendered because of his comments.
All right, now, that's right along the lines of what we were just talking about, and so respond to Jackie and those viewers.
Well, here's, over 20 years, the federal government has taken this man to court. For over 20 years. At some point, when you say obeying the law is important, you have to obey the law. And the federal government was going to take him off that land because he didn't obey the law. And instead of responding and going back to court or doing something or even trying to change the law over the 20 years, He surrounded himself with armed militia, right, and said, I don't believe in the United States of America law. I only follow state law. Even that's inaccurate because there's lots of things in the state law that say you have to follow the federal law. So you can't drape yourself around the American flag and not acknowledge the federal government.
We're almost out of time, but some of this seems to me to be an invented controversy. He says, I'll pay the grazing fees as long as I can pay them to Nevada. That's like saying, I'll move into your apartment as long as you can let me pay my rent to my mom.
Again, it's states versus national rights. That's the argument that we're looking at. They need to decide how to figure it out in court. But again, his ignorant comments are now climbing over the fact that it was federal overreach, it was handled poorly. And now all we're talking about is the fact that he made these ignorant comments, as opposed to the federal government should not have handled it the way they did.
All right, we're going to leave it right there, Sally. We'll be back in the next hour with two really, really good topics.